Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today is the big day. We are doing our frozen cake prep for tomorrow. So I've got freeze-dried mango, blueberry, strawberry and raspberry and a little bit of pink dragon fruit to color the strawberry one in order to flavor this cake that my 6-year-old niece has decided is what she wants. So this is what we're making today. We have already had a couple of disasters. I've had to redo the raspberry cake and I might have just stuffed up the blueberry, the second mango, and the second raspberry. But we'll get there in the end. So we are not in my kitchen, which is making this a lot harder. I feel like all my stuff is kind of getting sucked into the vortex of my parents' house and just disappearing. Plus there's everybody else's stuff everywhere and it's just chaos. But we've got to get this done because our little beautiful girl is having her 6th birthday party tomorrow. So let's do this. I definitely found it really difficult working in a kitchen that wasn't mine because I couldn't necessarily control where everything was and I didn't have all my equipment and all my normal stuff with me. We had been gifted these stars and this random sugar teacup with a rose and I was going to try and figure out how to incorporate them. That didn't work out. But I started to get everything as prepped as I could and make sure I have everything so I could start this white chocolate and fruit cake. As always, my little handy helpers, Ladybird and Raphael, were by my side. This was Ladybird's first trip to meet Nanny and Poppy, and I think she's a bit in love with Nanny, possibly because they're both redheads. So off to work with the cake, and it was time to get going. There were some things I learnt about doing this in somebody else's kitchen, and that is that not all vanilla essences are created equal. My mum's one had these like little black grainy bits of vanilla essence in it, and it smelled and tasted very heavily of booze, and I didn't like that. So I have now bought a bulk pack of vanilla essence for next time I have to make a cake and to transport it up, although I already had a very full car full of my stand-up mixer and all of that sort of thing to drive 3 hours north to my parents' house for Ruby's party. Not that it matters, I would do just about anything for Rubes. I was cognizant of the fact that with the trial cake, my friend had said the raspberry one was quite strong and that all the flavors were strong but nice. And so I was trying to have it a little bit less intense because I wanted the kids to enjoy it. I think in hindsight, I should have gone for more intense because with the icing, it actually needed to be a little bit more intense. And the colors didn't turn out as strongly because I think I probably put in as much flavored powder as I did for the trial cake, and you saw how tiny the trial cake was. But I mean, it was still really tasty and it got some good reviews, but I wasn't happy with it. But then a lot of this process was non-ideal because either I was pushed for time or whatever, but it just didn't turn out the way I wanted it to. One of my first mistakes was trying to mix the batter in these bowls that my mum had because I couldn't find anything else in the kitchen and the batter nearly fell out every single time. So it made mixing things in a little bit difficult. Once the cakes were in the oven and smelling amazing, it was time to get onto the silicone molds and making all the beautiful frozen snowflakes to decorate this cake. So my mum is on cleanup duty, and as you can see she has fallen behind, which is fine because she has gone to pick up Ruby from school. So I want to get started painting these. It might sound bad, but I don't really want Rubes involved with the painting of these, even though she's going to want to be, just because I've got to get it done and I don't want things to go everywhere. I've still got a lot of prep work to do for this party. So I've got snowflakes in a range of frozen friendly colors, and I've just got to get started on painting them. These are all made of gum paste, and I'm going to start by trying to brush off some of the flour that I used to allow me to get these things out of the mold. we had to turn the air conditioner on because it's so hot today that they weren't coming out. They were just stuck in there. And I'm hoping that tomorrow it'll cool down a bit because I'd like to make, I've got this stuff, what is it called? Isomalt crystals. And I was hoping to kind of like melt that and then snap it and turn it into shards, and that could be like Elsa's castle. So in terms of things we've still got to get done to get this birthday party done, I've still got to go back to my brother's house and do all the balloons. I got all the streamers up yesterday and some of the other decorations. I got part of a Rice Krispie snowman done last night, and I got the Rice Krispie treats done last night. I potentially will make some snowflake biscuits, but it depends how I go for time. I want to find some sticks and spray paint them silver, and I want to make some silver snowflakes to like line the pavement leading into my brother's house so that people know where they're going. These have actually solidified beautifully. This is like the best outcome I've ever had using gum paste. To be fair, I've only ever done it with Ruby's, let's call it 4th birthday party, where I made her mermaid cake. Oh, that one's still a bit dusty. And those mermaids, because it's the height of summer when her actual birthday is, and we're really only just kind of warming up, they were all pretty soft. So this is perfect. And this blue actually turned out really well, so I'm really happy with this. But I was wondering, because you can't really refrigerate gum paste, if perhaps I'll just put a crumb coat on the cake tonight, and then maybe do the full frosting coat so these stick in better to the frosting on tomorrow morning. But I've also got to make the sandwiches for the party tomorrow morning, and I've probably got to do some other stuff that I'm not thinking of. So I want to get the paints on the ones I want painted, and then I'm going to put some edible glue on the other ones and start sprinkling like glitter and things like that on. I feel like this one needs to be trimmed, but I know that this particular one, you can see it's kind of crumbled a bit getting it out of the mold, and I was really struggling to get them out of this mold. So these ones are all quite thick because it was the only way to get the big snowflake. And as you can see, I'm not really being precious about the painting. I just want the overall effect to be good. I do not have the time to sit here and paint these with great care, which sounds bad, but you know, that's life. And that's the trouble with food prep, is that everything only lasts so long. You've only got so much fridge space, and it's all got to be done in the same time frame. I think what I'm going to do, I think this is supposed to have like a white chocolate Swiss meringue buttercream ganache type icing, but the other day when I made it the test run, I actually used just my standard, I think it's an American buttercream, and then I just put in some grated white chocolate. And I'm thinking, just for ease of putting everything together tomorrow morning, that's probably going to be easier than mucking around with an icing and a ganache or whatever it is that I've never made before, just timing wise. Unless I think of something between now and then that's going to make these easy to stick into crusted icing, because once you put buttercream of any variety in the fridge, it kind of hardens, and then these things are much harder to get to stick in. Hi, sweetheart.
Ooh, what are those? What are you dropping on? Why are you putting on them?
This is edible glue.
Edible glue?
Hello, Molly Sue. Hello, Molly Sue. While the cakes were cooling, I got on to my next job, which was to make a Rice Krispie snowman. I wanted to obviously make him in snowman shape, and I had wandered around the shops looking for things that could work as arms unsuccessfully, until I had to do an emergency trip to the shops and found some straight pretzels. So what I did was made Rice Krispie treats, so with the vanilla with butter, with melted marshmallow, and then put the Rice Krispies in, or the rice bubbles, and then I waited for this to cool and solidify overnight into the shape of a snowman, and then I covered it in melted white chocolate that was left over from making the cake batter. And as you can see, he turned out pretty cute. With just the nose in, he did look a little bit like a duck. And I had quite a list of things that I needed to get done for this party. Starting with the snowman's noses, so Olaf's nose, I had little signs on these that were right beside the dip that said Olaf's nose, and a sign on the water jug that said melted snowman, just to try and get in the frozen theme and try and really make sure that there was a frozen theme, because I don't really think my brother knows what frozen is. I also made some other Rice Krispies and put frozen colored sparkles on them, sprinkles, and some frozen wafers that I had picked up from the shops. I have to say, these weren't my best Rice Krispie treats. I think it's all down to the vanilla essence. They didn't taste as yummy and creamy as they should have, and I used just as much butter as normal, but hopefully the kids enjoyed them because they're full of sugar. The evening before the party, I had spray painted these snowflakes onto some cardboard, and to be honest, I'm a little surprised I didn't go home covered in more of the spray paint. I was a little bit lucky, I think, with the direction of the wind. And my idea with this was to make it kind of like the frozen equivalent of the yellow brick road to guide people into the party. And I was hoping to kind of lay them down like tiles. But I did find the spray paint quite difficult to work with, but it was good enough, and I cut them out into tiles. At about 9 p.m. before the night before the party, I started making these meringue snowmen, and at first they looked disastrous, but they actually turned out to be super, super cute. So I just knocked the spike off their head, seeing I wasn't able to pipe them without one. And then all I needed to do was finish the facial decorations so that I could put these in the oven and let them stay in the oven as they cooled overnight. The day of the party, I was up at 5:30 to walk the dogs and then get going on this cake. I actually forgot to put white chocolate in the icing, which was slightly problematic, only because the icing kind of was overpowering for the fruit flavor. And again, I really think this is down to the vanilla essence, that I had practiced with a different vanilla essence. And I wasn't too worried about getting the icing neat. Obviously, you can see it started as a monstrosity, and it started with a blue crumb coat because I was trying to see with the crumb coat if I could get the icing frozen colored, and I wasn't really happy with it. I wanted to go with more a snow color, and then in the end what I did was get some of my blue glitter, edible glitter, and I blew that onto the cake in patches so it looked sparkly. But for the most part, I knew that this was going to be covered by the gum paste molds that we had made the day before. As the cake sat there, I kind of realized that the top piece wasn't all that not central. I could see it wasn't central, but it was kind of dropping down into the cake and not looking that great, because I had decided not to cut the cake in the pattern that Ruby wanted, just purely because there wasn't going to be enough cake. And yeah, it just didn't really go the way I planned. So I wanted to make sure I got up early enough to try the isomalt crystals, having never used them before, and I had read some horrendous things about them, about how difficult they are, how likely you are to get third-degree burns, and how much on a summer's day they are likely to melt and flop. So I wanted to try and get it right for Rubes' cake, and I wanted to try and use that to conceal the non-ideal shape of the cake. So I started with what I thought was a lot of isomalt, and it didn't turn into a lot of liquid at all. So I basically just tried to use my food colorings that I'd brought with me to create various blue shades for frozen, obviously. And I knew that they needed about an hour to kind of set and solidify, and then I'd be able to snap them. The isomalt was actually super easy to work with. You just nuke it in the microwave till it's liquidy, and then you don't wait 4 minutes like the packet says to start molding it. You start doing it straight away. I thought I might not be successful because I didn't have anything silicone to use as the mold, which is what's advised, but it worked quite well with baking paper, and it just needed time to set then so that I could snap it to make the ice shards. What do you think, squirrel?
Perfect. Yeah.
Before I knew it, it was party time and we were celebrating my cheeky little squirrel, and everything looked amazing. I was really happy with the way the cake turned out visually. There were a couple of things I would change. I, for some reason, didn't put her name in the center of the cake, or didn't then position Elsa and everybody appropriately so Ruby would be in the exact center, which annoyed me, but it's all good. And the party turned out really well, and the other kids had fun, and most importantly, Ruby had fun. I hope you guys have enjoyed hanging out with us for this Elsa themed, frozen themed birthday party with a birthday cake made with freeze-dried fruit powder for flavor. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.